got mail.
You want to check your phone, don't you? For a split second, you felt a rush of energy you couldn't quite explain. Your hand found its way to your phone before you could even ask it to do so. But why? How were we conditioned so successfully in response to the sound of an incoming message or vibration? Welcome to episode 3 of Fool Me Once, a show where I explain how the digital world works in order to colonize us again. But today I will need your undivided attention, which I know is difficult because I am not your phone. Last time we spoke, I explained the 4 tenets of digital imperialism. That first, data exists for the sake of profit. That second, in exchange for access to your data, the service will connect you to people. That third, everything can be data. And fourth, that in exchange for your data, every service you use will be tailored to your preferences. We spoke about how these principles worked together to create a system perfectly calibrated for data extraction and mining. And today we will be talking about how digital imperialism gets us to play along by extending their control to a resource that's worth billions, our attention. Remember, time is money. Last time, we learned that data is not just the information we upload, but our behavior on the internet, even in incognito mode, and you thought you could hide your identity. The data we share allows digital imperialists to create profiles of us based on our preferences. This includes what we like, what we believe, what we'll respond to. But in order to render accurate profiles of us, they need more and more data. They need to know us intimately. Think of it like this. If you ask a stranger to take a picture of you, the odds of it turning out perfect are slim. They don't know your angles, they don't know which filters make your melanin pop, they don't have an intrinsic understanding of what it is you're looking for. But if you ask a close friend or your parents to take a picture of you, they know how to capture your essence, and you'll get a bomb picture in less than 10 snaps. Likewise, the more information an internet company like Facebook, Google, or YouTube, or an internet service provider like Safaricom or Jamii Telecom has on you, the more accurate their picture of you will be. With this accurate picture, they will be able to recommend content to you that reflects your essence, or in the very least, what they think your essence is. Because your content is so personalized, you will use their services more often, thus giving them more data to work with. And if you don't think this works, ask yourself why you Google something instead of Binging it. By the way, Bing is Microsoft's search engine, their version of Google. I understand if you didn't know that, most people don't. This is personalization in action. It's why their newsfeed or discover or recommendation pages will not look like theirs, or even theirs. And perhaps most worryingly, why my Google search results will never look like yours. This is all done to keep your attention, like a very attentive person who changes everything about themselves in response to feedback from a partner. And let's not lie, it feels nice to have a service that's tailored just for you, to be so perfectly understood without judgment. It makes you feel special, like that first ray of sun after the rain. And because we feel special, we remain attentive to and engaged in their platforms. We give them even more data that they turn into predictions on how to keep us engaged. That's the business model of digital imperialism. Attention and engagement translates to data. Data is turned into predictions, and predictions are sold to advertisers for profit and refunneled into displaying content to keep us glued to our screens and sharing even more data. For example, for every minute you spend on WhatsApp, viewing stories, sharing quality memes, responding to the family group chat, Meta, or WhatsApp parent company, makes over $95,000 per minute from each of its 700 million active users. This adds up to about $5 billion in revenue. Likewise, for every minute you spend on Facebook, watching Majimbo's quality content or leaving a polite comment on a photo of your friend's baby, Facebook makes $160,000 from its 1.9 billion monthly active users per minute. This adds up to $84.2 billion in revenue. Our attention is money. Time is literally money. Now, imagine if people were to reduce the amount of time they spend on Facebook, thereby reducing the amount of attention they give to it by about 2 minutes. Meta, Facebook's parent company, would lose out on millions of dollars of revenue. In fact, we don't even have to imagine. When Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram went down in October 2021, Meta lost over $60 million in 6 hours. Mark Zuckerberg himself reportedly lost an estimated $6 billion from his net worth. This is because the less attention you pay to these services, the less data that these services can collect, the fewer predictions that they can sell, and the less money they can make. Truly, time is money. The most crucial takeaway from this episode should be this: your attention is worth hundreds of billions of dollars a year. These digital companies need our attention the way living beings need oxygen. In this way, the demand for our attention created the conditions for a shift from an imperialism played out geographically and spatially, like the traditional "I claim this land for Her Majesty the Queen" kind of way, to an imperialism being played out physiologically and psychologically. In essence, it is now an imperialism of the mind. Now, these digital companies must ask themselves every day, every waking moment, how can I get the user to pay attention to me above all things? And if this is starting to sound like an unhealthy relationship, buckle in. The ride has only begun. So, how do you get somebody to pay attention to you first? How do you change people's behavior without them even knowing about it? The answer is very, very simple. The like button. Let me explain. How do social media companies know what we will like well enough to predict things that they know we will like, or personalize the services they recommend to us? Sure, they can guess, but if there is one way to find out definitively, wouldn't you rather know? The answer to all of these questions is the like button. The like button is how these platforms learn about what we like. Thus, it enables personalization, because every time we like something, we signal to the digital imperialists our preferences, and they give us more of these preferences in order to keep us using them. The like button is the reason why digital imperialism has shifted, or rather is shifting, from a more physical, geographical, spatial thing into something that happens in our bodies, into something that happens in our minds. The concept has been around the internet since the early 2000s, but can you guess who unleashed its full potential? It's Facebook. When is it never Facebook? Facebook opened the proverbial Pandora's box and unleashed the internet we see today. Before the like button, you would have to actually comment on posts you found interesting. Now you could show your appreciation with the tap of a literal button. The like button changed the way we engaged with the internet. And the reason it was able to do this is because the like button appealed to base instincts, which is expressing and receiving approval. After all, it is not hard to like what you like. And soon, the like button would be scattered across the web. YouTube added a thumbs up button in 2010, while LinkedIn opted for a share button that same year. In 2015, Twitter changed its star icon to a heart and began referring to them as likes. For social media and digital companies, the like button promised to be the bold new form of monitoring, capturing, and profiting off of our attention. If the business model is designed to profit from our attention, the like button is the thing that enables that model to work. Each one is a tiny beacon that helps social media companies, the largest imperialists, build a valuable profile of you as a consumer. It is a ridiculously simple yet undeniably inventive way to collect information about people's interests and track their activity on the internet. It is also an incredibly valuable tool in personalizing content for users, including which ads we see. And sometimes, in service of personalization, the imperialists learn more about us than our own parents. For example, one US supermarket was able to predict a teenage girl's pregnancy before she had even told her parents. And what did they do with this information? They tailored her advertisements accordingly. But why was the like button so effective? Why was the like button so good at keeping us engaged with the internet? You see, every time somebody liked something of yours, you got a notification. It meant that somebody was thinking of you and paying attention to you, and that feeling is good. It feels great. But in this way, these notifications on our smartphones and coming from our apps stimulated our brain in a way similar to slot machines by drip feeding rewards. The like button created cravings that are very similar to those produced by cocaine. The impact is so powerful that it can invoke phantom vibrations and sounds. But it goes beyond the like button. Dating apps like Tinder and Bumble have turned finding a partner into a game. A ridiculously fun game where all you have to do is swipe left or right to either get rejection or meet the Prince Charming or woman of your dreams. Google, too, constantly provides new services to its users to keep them engaged on their platform. Services like Google Maps, Gmail, Google Calendar, YouTube, and the search engines all work as our surrogate brains, compiling every piece of information that has ever existed into bite-sized pieces of information just for us. It's why we don't need to remember directions anymore, or appointments, or contact information. We don't need to hold any information in our minds. Google does it for us. And Google does this so smoothly that many of us are barely aware of what is even happening. The reason we are so unaware is because the services that we get from big tech are so useful, we end up spending so much time in our devices without even realizing it. Big tech has won. The demand for their products animates every decision and factors into every experience of our life and occupies a permanent space in your mind. Now, this is a space I typically reserve for useless facts like, did you know that the world's tallest, largest, fattest animals come from Africa? Or that Nigeria has the world's highest birth rate for twins? Or that the first heart transplant was done in South Africa? But now, I don't have the space for those facts because of digital imperialism. Are these facts useless? Of course. But I would rather have those facts taking up the residence in the valuable real estate of my mind than the persistent desire to check my phone or my laptop or my smartwatch. The efforts of the digital imperialists are so successful that as I am recording this, my mind is thinking about what I will find on my Instagram Discover page, or what I should post on LinkedIn, or just how many WhatsApp messages I will find on my phone. Giving these services my attention and therefore my data is now a reflex. It is as much an expression of my existence as breath or thought. And this was always the plan. In a 2017 interview, one of Facebook's co-founders admitted that they knew they were creating something addictive and that they were exploiting a vulnerability of human psychology.
If the thought process that went into building these applications, Facebook being the first of them to really understand it, that thought process was all about how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible. And that means that we need to sort of give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a photo or a post or whatever. And that's going to get you to contribute more content, and that's going to get you, more likes and comments. I mean, it's a social validation feedback loop that it's like it's exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like myself would come up with, because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. And I think that the inventors, creators, and it's me, it's Mark, it's the Kevin Systrom at Instagram, it's all of these people, understood this consciously, and we did it anyway.
Given that Facebook formed the blueprint for the digital world, and that for many people Facebook is the digital world, it stands to reason that the digital world was designed to be addictive. to command most of our attention. In fact, several ex-employees of Google, Facebook, and Apple have warned that the curators of our digital world are designing products and services deliberately designed to be addictive, to capture the attention their business model needs to survive. All for one simple reason. The more time you spend on their platform, the more time you spend on your phone, your smartwatch, your laptop, the more money they make.
Today, that trade has exploded into a data industrial complex. Our own information, from the everyday to the deeply personal, is being weaponized against us with military efficiency. Every day, billions of dollars change hands and countless decisions are made on the basis of our likes and dislikes, our friends and families, our relationships and conversations, our wishes and fears, our hopes and dreams. These scraps of data, each one harmless enough on its own, are carefully assembled, synthesized, traded, and sold. Taken to its extreme, this process creates an enduring digital profile and lets companies know you better than you may know yourself.
So I want you to ask yourself why checking your phone is the first thing you do in the morning. Ask yourself why you feel naked without your phone. And ask yourself why it's not just you, why everyone reacts the exact same way. Because if nothing else, you can find comfort in the fact that it's not just you who's addicted to your phone. It's not just you who's addicted to the internet. We all are, even I am. The digital imperialists learned how to get our attention and found new ways to demand it, to ensure that their services and their products occupy a space in our mind. The question is, can we learn how to stop it from happening? A better question is, given how addictive these platforms are, do we even want to? Thank you for watching and see you next time.